This is Adelaide's National 9 News with Georgina McGuinness.
Commuter chaos as bus drivers step up strike action. Saving the River Murray while you're about to start paying up. And a thriller in the west as the Crows do battle with the Dockers. Good evening. Also making news tonight, a happy ending for a humpback whale that found itself in a tangle. But first tonight, Adelaide's bus crisis has taken a dramatic turn for the worse. Hundreds of Serco drivers have decided to join their Southlink colleagues in a new wave of industrial action. Serco drivers will walk off the job on Monday week, and they're planning rolling stoppages over the next 2 months. The decision to strike came after a 2-hour meeting between union leaders and representative bus drivers this morning, and commuters will be hit hard. Serco announcing it will join Southlink and stop all its services for 24 hours next Monday. Serco will also strike on Monday, the 4th of August.
It's not something they do lightly or, frivolously. They're absolutely committed to winning.
Southlink drivers have already committed to industrial action this Friday, affecting services in the outer south. But next Monday's Serco strike will be crippling, routes to the north and south coming to a standstill. Unions say they're confident this is the best way to fight for better pay and conditions.
We believe we're being significantly resisted, and we have to mount, our campaign and up our campaign to the level of moving the employers.
If no resolution is reached, unions say Serco and Southlink drivers will hold a secret ballot to decide if they want to go ahead with a week-long strike in September, including a public rally through the city. The last response by Serco was to have the union's demands costed, a move it's now responding to by hiring its own accountant to do a cost analysis.
We know we have a significant claim. We make no apology for that. And look, quite frankly, all things aside, incapacity pay is not an excuse under the Workplace Relations Act.
Gerda Yatsikovsky, National 9 News. Homeowners will receive a shock when they get their next quarterly water rates in October. Included in the bill will be the new $30 Save the Murray levy, introduced 2 months ago in the May state budget.
The government today outlined where the money will be used, including upgrading drainage and reducing salinity. The government says each $30 payment will save 30,000 litres of water per family because it won't be drained from the river system.
What we're going to get is an improved river flow, and that's really important for South Australia from a point of view of the environment, but also the economy.
The once-off levy will be included in SA water bills, and pensioners are exempt from paying, but that hasn't stopped Jack Holder, who decided to donate anyway.
I just hope that it sets an example for other people who don't have to pay the levy, that they may come along and pay it.
The Save the Murray levy is expected to raise around $20 million every year, with that money going towards buying water, improving water quality and developing more wetlands. The government says priority will be given to keeping the Murray mouth open, which is currently being dredged. However, the methods for improving water flows rely on the cooperation from the New South Wales, Queensland and Victorian governments.
We're doing as much as we can to show the other states that we're prepared to take the tough decisions here, whether it's water restrictions or putting a fund together.
Mr Hill will meet with state and territory leaders in November to ask for 500 gigalitres of water for the state, worth an extra $500 million. Brad Watts, National 9 News. And the Premier is calling upon the federal government to review its health funding agreement. Under the proposed arrangement, Mr Rand says South Australia could lose up to $75 million over the next 5 years. And with longer waiting lists and doctors in public hospitals taking strike action, the AMA says the agreement must be changed.
Funding in health, you'll see further cutbacks in provision of services. There will be increased the lengths of waiting lists.
The Premier has called for a meeting with the Prime Minister to resolve the deadlock. A 33-year-old Adelaide man has been charged with murder after yesterday's truck rampage in country Victoria. Detectives allege Roderick Martin led them on a 75-kilometre chase before he slammed into an oncoming car near Ballarat, killing the driver instantly. The truck then crashed in a paddock, the driver subdued with capsicum spray after a 1-hour standoff. He'll appear in court tomorrow. Australian troops heading for the Solomon Islands have been told that they can shoot to kill if their lives are threatened. The clearance was given by Defence Minister Robert Hill as members of the military and the police prepare for deployment.
As the supply ship, the HMAS Menorah, awaits final loading and departure from Townsville tomorrow, Prime Minister John Howard concedes Australia's police and military deployment to the Solomons will take us into uncharted waters diplomatically.
What we're doing in the Solomon Islands represents a very significant change in policy.
Mr Howard's told 60 Minutes the more interventionist approach to the Pacific is needed to ensure trouble doesn't fester on Australia's doorstep.
If the Solomons becomes a failed state, it's a haven potentially for terrorists, drug runners and money launderers. We don't want that on our doorstep.
The formal invitation came from the Solomons on Friday. Federal Cabinet's expected to rubber stamp the deployment of 300 police and 1,500 soldiers for Thursday. With support from Fiji, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea, they'll be given a brief to restore law and order. Not a military conflict, but dangerous nonetheless.
Some of the criminals are quite heavily armed.
To protect the police, particularly hunting armed gangs in jungle hideouts, it's likely the National Security Committee will give the Army rules of engagement with the power to shoot to kill.
If there is an issue of a threat against life and if there is a response with heavy weapons, the military would be able to react accordingly, and that could include lethal force.
The Solomons' mission will be a long one. So far, the focus is centred on the task of bringing armed gangs to heel. But this is really a whole-of-government operation to help a struggling island state find its feet. And that'll take years, not months. David Turnbull, National 9 News.
British Prime Minister Tony Blair is under intense pressure to resign tonight over the suicide of a leading government advisor. David Kelly was named as the man behind claims that the British government hyped up its intelligence to justify the war. And tonight some are asking if Mr Blair has blood on his hands.
A lonely death in a British field now threatens to bring down a Prime Minister.
I believe the Prime Minister should resign. He should bite the bullet and resign.
The bullet, in this case, is the suicide of Dr. David Kelly, the weapons expert left distraught by hours of intense questioning from British MPs trying to find the source of reports that Mr. Blair misled his nation over the reasons for war against Iraq. The scientist's death derailed Mr. Blair's state visit to Japan, and ordering a judicial inquiry into the affair did nothing to stem the controversy.
Some will fear you're hiding behind that inquiry, Prime Minister.
It is probably better to wait until the inquiry has made its judgment.
But then this, a question that left Mr. Blair ashen and speechless.
Have you got blood on your hands, Prime Minister? Are you going to resign over this?
Through the police, Dr. Kelly's family left no doubt about their view.
Events over recent weeks have made David's life intolerable, and all of those involved should reflect long and hard on this fact.
At the heart of all of this, serious doubts about the honesty of Mr. Blair's claims that the war in Iraq was justified by that country's possession of weapons of mass destruction. It's a controversy that's being watched just as closely in Canberra as it is in London. Peter Harvey, National 9 News.
Wildlife experts are again calling for shark nets to be removed from the nation's beaches after a humpback whale became trapped off the Gold Coast. Rescuers spent 3 hours trying to free the distressed animal, which had become completely entangled in nets at Surfers Paradise. The entanglements are becoming a yearly occurrence as whales migrate north. Fortunately, this time the whale escaped unharmed and continued its journey to warmer waters. In the news after the break, a lucky escape for drivers on a busy US highway. And the stars turn out in force to celebrate Nelson Mandela's birthday. Continuing the news, and staff at a northern suburbs nursing home have been protesting today, claiming that management at the Churchill Court Aged Care Home has threatened to cut staff numbers to critically low levels. They say if that happens, they won't be able to properly care for the residents. Wesley Uniting Mission manages the facility and is now in negotiations with the Carers Union. To overseas news now, and a surprise on a highway for 2 drivers in America after a biplane came crashing down on their cars. Incredibly, the 2 people in the plane survived. They were taken to hospital with minor injuries. The motorists weren't hurt at all, and the cause of the plane crash is still unknown. Well, he may be a little frailer these days, but Nelson Mandela has shown that he can still party with the best of them. The anti-apartheid crusader was the guest of honour at a banquet marking his 85th birthday, joined by some of the world's biggest names in politics and show business.
Like a Hollywood premiere, the carpet was red, the guests A-list, the mood jubilant. But there was one arrival aided by a walking stick that outshone them all. Political leaders past and present joined entertainment icons, even royalty, for a birthday bash Mandela style, a huge gala banquet to celebrate one man's incredible journey that's lasted 85 years.
Happy birthday, Martina. Happy birthday to you.
You have taught us, in short, that every day can be a birth day, the birth of new possibilities.
It was a double celebration, Mandela also marking his 5th wedding anniversary to third wife Gracia.
Thank you for making him glow like a teenager.
The banquet topped off a host of events to mark Mandela's milestone, but even by night's end, there was still plenty of energy to burn. On the dance floor, formalities were lost, the guest of honour joining his famous friends and kicking up his heels. Nina Stevens, National 9 News.
All right, a couple of your moves. Kim there. Kim's here is what? How was that last 5 minutes at CB Echo? That was amazing, wasn't it?
Adelaide were robbed.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kim.
I may be biased. Hello, everyone. After the break, the Crows pipped in Perth by the narrowest of margins. And Australia tames the Tigers in the top end.
It's the one that leaves the others in the shade. Mazda 323 Shades. With a powerful 1.8-litre engine, new 15-inch alloy wheels, a cool sports interior with CD, air, twin airbags and remote central locking. Mazda 323 Shades. At a shade under 20 grand, you'd better be quick.
Hello again to Football First, and the Adelaide Crows have just missed out, and I mean just missed out, on becoming the first travelling team to win in Perth this season. After leading Fremantle by 5 goals at one stage, the Crows went down by a single point. It continued the trend of narrow losses for Adelaide this season.
The Dockers were out to anchor Adelaide's finals charge, and while they paid Andrew McLeod the ultimate compliment, the Crows' much lesser light slipped under the radar.
The 2 first-year players hooking up.
Ben Rutten will never forget his first kick in AFL football. Brett Burton's follow-up every bit as memorable.
Gives it a ride. Oh, what a goal by Burton.
Robert Shirley will be hard-pressed to remember anything about his trip to the House of Pain. But after McLeod peeled off Bell to stamp his class on the contest and Rutten made it 2 from 2, it was the home side feeling sick and sorry. 3 from 3 and Rutten was in rare company. Then Fremantle discovered the breeze. Matthew Carr got them motoring.
From 45 for another one.
And we're just starting to get on top.
In a Rolls-Royce performance, Carr bagged 3 for the quarter. The Dockers slammed on 8. Adelaide suddenly with plenty to worry about. Moves had to be made, and Gary Ayres threw Nigel Smart up forward. Nothing clever about Docker Robert Hadrill's defensive effort. It took Adelaide until time on to wrestle back the lead. Burns the architect of a 4-goal-to-0 third term.
We'll finish it in style.
Wonderful.
Chris Connolly demanded some answers, but Andrew McLeod only added to his frustration.
Devastating.
With its credibility on the line, Freo rallied to draw level. Then Brett Burton stepped up to restore the lead, only for some lax defending to cost Adelaide very dearly. Ross Stargett, National 9 News.
Was an amazing game of football. Well, Matthew Primus will face a striking charge at the AFL Tribunal, meaning he could miss Port Adelaide's match against the Lions in Brisbane next Saturday night. Primus was booked in last night's brutal win against the West Coast Eagles. The results puts the Power a game clear on top of the AFL ladder.
After a frustrating run with injuries, Matthew Primus now has a report to deal with. Port's captain went in the book for allegedly striking Chris Judd. Replays of the incident suggest it may have been a bump.
Mate of mine was over there, he said it was just a good old hip and shoulder.
Yeah, that's all it was, Bill, and, you know, I suppose Monday night when I go up, hopefully we'll come out of it all right.
Port didn't even wait for last night's first bounce to make a statement about its toughness. More was to follow.
Good dance by Burgoyne. Spear tackle. You get weeks for that in rugby league. Tried to paddle it.
The Eagles never recovered.
It is brutal in there at the moment. Port Adelaide just turning it on.
Anyone who criticises this side at the moment, anyone can sit back and watch the replay because
weird blokes who just come into the side like Cassisi, just smashing guys in tackles. It was sensation.
We intend to play that way all the time.
Not even the turf was safe. Even when Port had the game in its keeping, the coach wasn't satisfied. But a powerful finish made sure his anger was short-lived.
I suppose 12 wins now gets us a spot in the finals, which is another achievement for the club, but honestly it went through with almost a wet blanket tonight. No one could really care less. It's about winning finals.
Damien Hardwick and Stuart Cochrane were both late withdrawals from last night's game with back and ankle injuries respectively, but both could be available next week. Hamish Arthur, National 9 News.
Port Adelaide looking very good, and St Kilda has snapped a 4-game losing streak, beating the Kangaroos in a thriller. Last night, Essendon kept its finals hopes alive. Today, the Bulldogs notched their second win of the season, while Fraser Gehrig kicked 9 goals as the Saints got up by 5 points.
4 first-quarter goals to Fraser Gehrig and the Saints were on their way. All up, they kicked 10 goals to 3 before the first change, although replay suggested the 10th hit the post. After copping a rocket, the Kangaroos lost David King, but before long, the fight back was on, and St Kilda began to get frustrated. Into the last quarter, the Roos hit the front, but Gehrig's 9th goal saw the Saints home. Next week, they play Adelaide at Amy Stadium. In Geelong, Nathan Eagleton was having a tough time of it as the Bulldogs broke clear from the Cats early. With no Stephen King, they fell further behind, Eagleton celebrating his return. A half-time visit from Gary Ablett Sr. had some impact, but not enough. The Dogs with their first win in 4 months. And last night there was smoke under the roof at the Dome because of a nearby fire. But it didn't distract the Bombers, who downed Brisbane by 8 points. James Hird had 31 possessions. No mercy for the Lions from Kevin Sheedy either.
No, well, you know, we bled once, now they're hemorrhaging. It's pretty good to see it, you know.
Justin Leppich suffered a dislocated shoulder. Hamish Arthur, National 9 News.
To the ladder now after 16 complete rounds, and the Power is a game clear of the Sydney Swans, West Coast and the Lions, 2 points further back. Adelaide is 5th ahead of Collingwood and the Dockers on percentage. The Kangaroos make up the 8. Essendon, Hawthorn and the Saints remain in the race to September. To cricket now, and Australia has easily won the first test against Bangladesh in Darwin, but not before the tourists showed some real fight. In a much better batting performance, cricket's newcomers made 178 in their second innings, Stuart MacGill taking 5 wickets as Australia completed the win inside 3 days.
An early lunch looked likely after Adam Gilchrist's good grab. In a losing battle, Habibul Bashir became the first Bangladeshi to score a half-century against Australia. From Brett Lee, no holding back. But Stuart MacGill did the real damage. Habibul out for 54. Most of the middle order failed to pick McGill's wrong un, and while Lee's pace provided the softening up process...
Yeah, he certainly got the radar on, Brett Lee.
MacGill continued to make the tourists' top-end experience a spin-out, but no first session farewell. After lunch, tail-ender Mashrafi decided to go down swinging, launching into the leggy.
That is a big hit.
MacGill struck back, doing it all himself to complete his 7th 5-wicket haul for Australia. Steve Waugh's 37th win as skipper, taking him past West Indian Clive Lloyd as cricket's most successful Test captain.
I've been fortunate to have some great players in my side, but I feel as if I've improved along the way and done a pretty good job.
The second test starts Friday in Cairns. Andrew McKinlay, National 9 News.
Denmark's Thomas Bjorn will take a 1-stroke lead into tonight's final round of the British Open at Royal St George's. He's the only player under par, just ahead of American Davis Love, with Tiger Woods in a group a further shot back. Peter Lonard and Stuart Appleby are the only Aussies with a chance.
On a course where making headway is more likely on the outward 9, American Tom Byram grabbed his opportunities with both hands. His par round included 2 eagles in 3 holes. Very nice. Tiger Woods also pounced on the par 5s on the first 9, scoring 2 eagles.
He has made it.
This curling effort at the 9th saw him reach the turn at 5 under for the day and top of the leaderboard. But like so many others, hanging on during the back 9 is the test. Woods made 1 birdie but dropped 4 shots coming home. 3-time champion Nick Faldo set a new course record 67.
Oh, no.
Fellow Englishman Mark Rowe equalled it to move to 3rd spot, but his kisses turned into calamity. Disqualified because he incorrectly signed Jesper Parnevik's scorecard.
When he turned up on the tee, I couldn't believe anybody could play golf in trousers that colour, so obviously I was distracted.
Overnight leader Davis Love dropped 4 shots but recovered with a 72 to trail the new leader, Thomas Bjorn of Denmark. at the par 4 17th when Sergio Garcia was rueful, hacking twice out of the rough and dreading the drop down the leaderboard. His chip came up trumps.
That is unbelievable.
Charles Christian, National 9 News.
Australian divers continue to produce strong results at the World Swimming Championships in Barcelona. Overnight, Matthew Helm won a silver in the men's 10-metre platform. A bronze medalist at last year's Commonwealth Games, Helm borrowed a mobile to break the news to his father in Australia.
Sorry to wake you. No, that's fine, he says.
It was good news anyway. Defending champions Australia will meet arch rival New Zealand in the final of the World Netball Championships. In the semis, Australia defeated England 45-37, while second seed New Zealand downed home team Jamaica. Well, four-time winner Lance Armstrong is losing his grip on the yellow leader's jersey at the Tour de France. German Jan Ullrich has closed within 15 seconds of Armstrong after finishing second in the first mountain stage of the race. The 197-kilometre 13th stage was won by Spaniard Carlos Sastre. But for the second day running, Ullrich was the big mover, crossing the line 7 seconds ahead of Armstrong to claim a 12-second time bonus. There you go. Talking of time, I'm out of it.
Thank you very much, Kim. Xavier's up next with the weather for the week ahead. But first, if you're out on the roads tomorrow, do take it easy. Here is where you will find the speed cameras.
National 9 Weather Report, brought to you by all new VO5 shampoos and conditioners with our best ever formulas.
Good evening, folks. Well, if you thought last night was cold, it was indeed, and in fact for Adelaide reached the coldest it's been this winter so far, 3.4 overnight. Luckily the sun was out today, 16.5 this afternoon warmed us up. Currently it's around 10.8 and the bar is steady. Have a look at the sunlight photo first of all. Tomorrow, generally sunny conditions ahead of a change. It will begin in the west and move down through the southern coasts, bringing through isolated shower activity, and then a series of fronts throughout the week will bring us showers right through to the weekend. Have a look at the analysis next. The high still ridging in, giving us the northerlies. They will keep us warm during the day tomorrow, but there's that frontal system that'll move in from the west during the morning, reaching down to the southern coasts by afternoon or evening, and then the west-southwesterlies in behind, dropping the temperature drastically. Further afield, if you're heading out, Perth, Brisbane and Canberra expecting showers, maximum ranging from 13 in Canberra and Hobart up to 32 degrees in Broome and Darwin. And in our state today, maximum ranging from 11 degrees at Mount Crawford up to 23 at Marla. So for the forecast, early morning frost and fog, mild and sunny, the northerlies ahead of the west-southwesterly change, and then the isolated showers by the evening. There is a sheep grazier's advice for Tuesday, right through to Thursday. Frost risks are high for the Riverland and Murray Bridge, moderate for Coonawarra and Pathway, and slight for the rest. Around the country centres, down to 2 overnight for Broken Hill, 19 the top there, 0 for Murray Bridge and 19 the top there. Elsewhere in the state, you're looking at -2 for Renmark, 18 the top, and Victor Harbour 1 overnight with 18 the maximum there. On the waters, northeasterly winds at 8 to 13 knots, then they'll shift northwesterly by afternoon up to 18 knots, seas at 1 metre. And for the metropolitan area, look, it's fine and sunny for most of the day before that change comes in, looking for a lovely 18 degrees for both Adelaide and Elizabeth, down to 17 for Mount Barker, Noarlunga looking for 18 degrees now over the next few days. Once the shower activity sets in, it'll go right through until Thursday. In fact, some master blaster winds on Wednesday, and in the longer term, windy with showers. Here's George and Kim.
Thank you, Xavier, and that is National 9 News for this Sunday. Don't forget, of course, Kevin and Rob are back tomorrow night at 6.
And don't forget, Gary Ayres will join James to discuss the fallout from today's match against Fremantle. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.